Weeks after News 13 broke news of serious crimes happening at Asheville homeless camps, the city announces a strict new policy that will force campers to move out within 24 to 48 hours.
News 13's Kimberly King joins us live. And Kim, this policy comes with some other important pieces.
In addition to APD, there will be counselors from outreach organizations like Homeward Bound who will be part of this new initiative. They will go to the camps and also advise those living there of other options, shelters, and other programs. But the bottom line appears to be that the long-term encampments will be coming to an end.
You know, they'd camp along this fence.
Downtown Asheville homeowner Terry Simmons is glad to hear the new policy. He's had his own frustrations with camps.
Yeah, they would stay here. Even if I would call the police would go and talk to them, but they wouldn't remove them. So I personally witnessed drug deals and drug usage.
Down a few blocks from him was the I-240 encampment where News 13, through its public records request, uncovered numerous crime reports. Dating back to last summer, the city allowed the camp to operate and grow. This is how the new policy will work.
We establish if it's private property or public property, and then our next step is to get outreach services to them.
Homeward Bound and street workers, Captain Mike Lamb says, will make contact and offer services.
Then we'll go out 24 to 48 hours later to make sure that the folks have left if they're not authorized to be there.
I know the policy now is for city property, but how will this translate? Because we know that some of these encampments have been on North Carolina Department of Transportation property or Duke property, for example, in West Asheville, where the camps have been there for weeks and months. Residents have complained the utility companies had done nothing, and then after our reporting, something was done in that West Asheville camp. How will this new policy make a difference there?
I believe with these properties that are not managed or looked at on a regular basis, that it'll give us an opportunity to keep a better check within these properties so that we can make sure that a large encampment isn't reestablished there.
Captain Lamb says it is equally important for the citizens in Asheville to know about this new 24 to 48 hour policy and contact them or their city leaders. They say they will be enforcing the new policy.
Western North Carolina is on the verge of a community blood crisis. That's according to the Blood Connection. Right now, it's experiencing a never-before-seen critical need for blood. As News 13's Hannah McKenzie found out, it cannot be blamed solely on COVID-19.
Holly, during the height of the pandemic, people were still showing up to donate blood. But I'm told over the last 10 months, those numbers have drastically decreased, leading to potentially life-threatening blood supply shortages. Empty beds, not something those at the Blood Connection want to see, but a sight they're unfortunately getting used to, says Katie Smithson.
We are projecting in the next 30 days, we will be 40% below what our hospitals are going to need if something doesn't change here in the next couple of days.
What happens if that doesn't change?
That's a situation that we are actively trying to avoid.
The dwindling number of donors and blood drive hosts, Smithson says, not entirely pandemic related. If COVID isn't to blame for the low turnout and the low donations, what is?
That's a question I would love to be able to answer for you. Unfortunately, we are not 100% sure.
Wesley Hall doing his part Wednesday. With O negative blood, he's a universal donor.
Just enjoy giving blood and so I can help others.
An hour of time for those willing to donate blood, potentially worth a lifetime for the recipient.
I work at Mission, so I know, the importance of it.
The Blood Connection, the sole provider of blood for Mission Hospital, Advent Health, Party Health, and others in our area. They are part of the Blood Emergency Readiness Corps, but Smithson says low donor turnout doesn't qualify to activate the blood sharing program.
We are getting into a position where if this continues, we're going to see it negatively impact patients in our local hospitals. The thing about blood is it can't be manufactured. So when we get into this critical need situation, we can't go to a back room or a lab and make more of it.
The Blood Connection offers different incentives for donating blood, like gift cards. And right now, another perk: within 3 days of donating blood through them, you can request a COVID-19 antibody test. For more information, head to our website, WLOS.com. Tonight, candidates are reacting to a court decision in favor of North Carolina's new district maps. As it stands now, Western North Carolina will remain split between the newly drawn 13th and 14th congressional districts.
State Republicans are calling it a victory, but the battle isn't necessarily over yet. News 13's Caitlin Penter explains what happens next.
This week's court ruling did not come as a surprise to many people as they wait for the real fate of North Carolina's congressional maps to come from the state Supreme Court.
On Tuesday, a three-judge panel refused to throw out North Carolina's district maps. The maps, drawn by the Republican-controlled General Assembly, have been accused by some of being gerrymandered to favor Republicans in upcoming elections.
What's happening now is exactly what we expected.
Chris Cooper, a political science professor at Western Carolina University, says this decision sets the stage for the North Carolina Supreme Court to make the ultimate ruling. As he says, appeals to this ruling are pretty much a given.
So what they said essentially in their decision was that they agreed that it is a partisan gerrymander, or at least partisan redistricting that benefited the Republicans. But they said it's really not under the purview of that court to make that decision.
North Carolina Republican candidate Michelle Woodhouse is happy with the latest ruling.
Well, I think there is a win, and a win for voters, because one Democrat judge was on that three-judge panel, and that Democrat voted that the maps were fair.
NC 14 Democratic candidate Eric Gash says he's waiting to see what the Supreme Court says, as he says gerrymandering cannot be tolerated.
Everyone deserves to have their voices heard and their votes counted. And we need to make sure that folks don't hide behind these maps in order to solidify their positions in their particular party or their particular seat.
Through this ruling, candidate filing for upcoming primary elections will resume on February 24th. A separate ruling this week also halted any challenges to candidates until this is ultimately resolved. This puts the current challenge to Representative Madison Cawthorn on hold.
So essentially, electoral politics in North Carolina, at least those bound by districts, are on hold for a bit until the state Supreme Court weighs in.
Political science professor Chris Cooper expects the state Supreme Court to issue a ruling on this by the beginning of the new filing period at the end of February.